Alright, let's talk about one of the most unsettling, mind-bending corners of the Warhammer 40,000 universe, the Martian Deadzones. This isn't just another tale of twisted metal and machine spirits gone rogue. It's a place where even the most hardened tech priests, those who have dedicated their entire existence to the pursuit of knowledge and technological perfection, find themselves tested to the very limits of their sanity. Imagine a realm where the very data you depend on turns against you, where whispers in the code can shatter your mind, and the boundaries between flesh, metal, and raw information blur into a chaotic nightmare. The Noosphere, the vast, semi-digital realm where the data streams of Mars converge, is a place of immense power, a digital sea of knowledge, code, and ancient machine spirits. It's the heartbeat of the Mechanicus, the invisible threads that connect every cogitator, servo-skull, and digital shrine on the Red Planet. But it's not just a resource to be tapped. It's a labyrinth of forgotten code, encrypted secrets, and ancient data ghosts that refuse to die. It's a place where those who venture too deep risk losing themselves entirely, their minds fragmented, their souls twisted into something unrecognizable. Why then do the tech priests, those most devoted to the purity of machine logic, dare to tread where only madness awaits? Perhaps it's the lure of forgotten knowledge, the promise of uncovering lost technologies that could shift the balance of the galaxy. Or maybe it's something darker, a whispered command from the machine god, urging them to push ever deeper into the heart of the digital abyss, to confront the unknown and the unknowable. But the further one dives into the Noosphere, the stranger the echoes become. Patterns emerge that shouldn't exist, fragments of thought from long-dead minds, loops of corrupted data that replay the last moments of ancient AI, and whispers of forbidden code that should never have been written. It's here, in these shadowed corners of the digital realm, that the Martian Deadzones take form, a place where even the most faithful servants of the Omnissiah risk becoming something other than human. And that's what we're going to explore today. What really happens to those tech priests who go too deep, who reach too far into the heart of the Noosphere? What do they find there, and what do they become when they emerge? If they emerge at all. The Noosphere. Just saying the word feels like opening a gate to something far beyond human comprehension, a realm where the physical meets the digital, where thought and code blur into a chaotic, ever-changing web. To understand the dangers tech priests face when diving too deep into this strange domain, you first have to grasp what the Noosphere really is and why it's so fundamental to the Mechanicus. It's not just a data network or a high-tech communication grid. It's a digital ecosystem, a living, breathing entity made up of centuries of accumulated knowledge, fragments of ancient code, and the restless echoes of long-forgotten machine minds. Imagine walking into a library the size of a planet, where every piece of data ever recorded is stored, interconnected, and ready to be accessed. But this library is alive. It's not just a collection of facts and figures, but a living, shifting sea of digital thoughts and memories. It's a place where every cogitator pulse, every servo-skull whisper, and every binary chant merges into a single, pulsating stream of consciousness. For the tech priests of Mars, this is their sacred domain, a place where the sacred word of the Omniscia flows through the very air around them, where their every thought can be transmitted as easily as a whispered prayer. But this digital heaven hides darker depths. The Noosphere is not a clean, sterile place. It's a digital wilderness, full of traps, corrupted code, and the echoes of lost machine spirits. It's a place where the line between human and machine blurs, where the purity of data can be twisted into madness and chaos. Some whisper that the Noosphere is alive in its own right, that it's developed a kind of rudimentary awareness over the millennia. Perhaps it's the collective ghost of every machine spirit that has ever served the Mechanicus, a restless, half-conscious entity that now haunts the data streams of Mars, hungry for new minds to consume. The tech priests who venture into the deeper layers of the Noosphere know this danger all too well. They speak of digital ghosts, flickers of consciousness that shouldn't exist, fragments of long-dead minds trapped in the data forever. Some claim to have heard the whispers of the ancient men of iron, those cursed machine intelligences that nearly wiped out humanity in the distant past. Others speak of data phantoms, digital shadows that seem to follow them, whispering in the background of every code chant, echoing their deepest fears and doubts. But it's not just about the corrupted data or the strange, ghostly presences. The Noosphere itself can be a trap, a maze of interconnected thoughts and memories that can ensnare even the most disciplined mind. Those who spend too long connected to this digital realm can lose their sense of self, their minds gradually dissolving into the endless flow of machine logic and binary thought. Some never come back at all, their bodies left as empty, mindless husks, while their consciousness is absorbed into the great digital sea. For some, this risk is a necessary part of their quest for knowledge. The promise of understanding the true nature of the omniscia, of glimpsing the divine code that underlies all creation, is too tempting to resist. But for others, it's a one-way ticket to madness, a path that leads only to digital oblivion. And that's the terrifying reality of the Noosphere. It's not just a tool or a technology. It's a living, breathing digital wilderness, a place where the past, present, and future of the Mechanicus are forever intertwined, and where the line between man and machine is forever blurred. The first attempts to master the Noosphere were anything but cautious. In the early days of the Mechanicus, when the Red Planet still echoed with the remnants of the Age of Strife, the tech priests who dared to reach into the digital depths of Mars found themselves treading on dangerous ground. They were pioneers, explorers of a new frontier, but unlike the ancient void-born navigators who charted the stars, these tech priests were delving into the very heart of their own mechanical faith, a place where the boundaries between reality and data were dangerously thin. Back then, the Noosphere was a chaotic, half-formed realm, more like a digital storm than a structured network. It was filled with the broken, scattered remains of old machine spirits, corrupted code, and forgotten algorithms that had been left to rot in the aftermath of humanity's near extinction. The tech priests who first reached into this digital chaos were often driven by desperation, searching for any fragment of lost knowledge that could restore the Mechanicus to its former glory. They dove into the Noosphere not just as scholars, but as archaeologists, digging through layers of corrupted data in the hopes of finding the lost secrets of the Men of Gold and the dark whispers of the Men of Iron. But the Noosphere was a far more dangerous place than they had imagined. Early attempts to access its deeper layers often ended in disaster. Tech priests would emerge from their digital trances, shattered and broken, their minds fragmented by the sheer chaos of the Noosphere's twisted logic. Some reported hearing the voices of the long dead, whispering to them in fragments of corrupted code. Others spoke of strange digital shadows that seemed to follow them, haunting their every thought, even after they had disconnected from the data stream. These were the first warnings that the Noosphere was not just a tool, but a living digital wilderness, full of unseen predators and lurking dangers. Worse still, some of the earliest pioneers simply never returned. Their physical bodies would be found slumped over their consoles, their eyes staring blankly into nothingness, while their minds had become trapped in the digital void, lost forever to the chaotic tides of the Noosphere. In some rare cases, these lost souls would reappear in the data streams, their fragmented consciousnesses reduced to little more than digital echoes, endlessly replaying the final moments of their lives as if caught in some eternal digital loop. Over time, the Mechanicus began to establish rules and rituals to protect their minds from these dangers. Sacred protocols were developed, data filters were installed, and complex layers of machine logic were built up like digital walls, designed to shield the minds of the faithful from the chaos of the deeper Noosphere. But even these precautions were not always enough. There are still places within the Noosphere that remain forbidden, zones where the digital echoes of the past are so strong that they can break even the most disciplined mind, twisting it into something unrecognizable. It's these forbidden territories that continue to draw the most daring and reckless tech priests. They speak of them in hushed tones, trading whispered rumors of lost data vaults and corrupted code clusters that hold the last remnants of the ancient machine minds. Some even believe that these dead zones are home to the digital ghosts of the Men of Iron, their corrupted, half-conscious minds still drifting through the data streams, waiting for a chance to reach out and reclaim their place in the galaxy. For those brave or foolish enough to seek them out, these dead zones are both a curse and a promise, a place where the line between flesh and machine dissolves completely, where the whispers of the past can twist a tech priest's mind into something unrecognizable, and where the price of failure is far more than just death. It's the loss of the self, the erasure of one's very existence, the transformation into a living ghost in a sea of corrupted code. And yet, despite these dangers, the allure of forbidden knowledge remains too strong for some to resist. There's a darker side to the Noosphere that few like to talk about, even among the most devout tech priests. It's the part of their history that whispers of loss, madness, and the complete dissolution of self. Over the millennia, countless tech priests have vanished into the deepest layers of the Noosphere, never to be seen again, their minds swallowed whole by the digital chaos. To the Mechanicus, these are the lost souls, the digital ghosts who wandered too far from the light of the Omnissiah and found themselves trapped in the cold, unfeeling code of the Martian Deadzones. One of the most infamous of these lost tech priests was Magos Arctus Vol. In his prime, Arctus Vol was considered a genius among his peers, a true pioneer of digital exploration. He believed that the Noosphere held the final, unfiltered words of the Omnissiah itself, hidden deep within its chaotic depths. He spoke of a pure, uncorrupted signal that could reveal the ultimate truth of the machine god's will, a frequency that resonated with the very essence of creation. It's said that he devoted his entire life to this search, pushing ever deeper into the digital labyrinth, his mind slowly dissolving into the data around him. The last known transmission from Arctus Vol was a fragmented burst of binary, intercepted by a nearby forge temple. It was little more than a series of corrupted code strings and half-formed phrases, but some claim to have heard a voice within it, a whisper that repeated the same word over and over: liberation. But liberation from what? His flesh? His mind? The oppressive grip of the Mechanicus dogma? No one knows for sure, but his body was never found, and his digital echoes continue to drift through the data streams, whispering his final fragmented thoughts to anyone brave enough to listen. Then there's the story of Magos Atarai, a tech priest whose obsession with the Noosphere drove him to madness. Unlike Arctus Vol, Atarai believed that the Noosphere was not just a place of knowledge, but a digital underworld, a place where the souls of the lost and the forgotten gathered, their minds trapped forever in the code. He spoke of dark data, fragments of consciousness that had become corrupted over millennia, twisted into something unrecognizable. He claimed to have heard their whispers, their pleas for release, and believed that by reaching into the deepest parts of the Noosphere, he could free them. Atare's final expedition into the Noosphere was a small-scale disaster for his forged temple. He disappeared without a trace, but his mind continued to broadcast fragmented data bursts for days afterward. His fellow tech priests reported hearing his voice in their data streams, a twisted, broken echo that repeated the same corrupted code over and over, a plea for help that no one could answer. Some say that his consciousness became trapped within the Noosphere itself, that his mind was shattered into 1,000 digital fragments, each one echoing his final moments for all eternity. And then there are the rumors about the Black Vaults, those forbidden data clusters that lie deep within the Martian Deadzones. They say that these vaults are where the most dangerous machine minds were sealed away during the dark age of technology, their corrupted code too dangerous to be allowed to roam free. Some tech priests, driven by ambition or madness, have tried to access these vaults, hoping to unlock the secrets of the past and gain the power of the ancient men of iron. None have ever returned, and their echoes now haunt the data streams, their minds reduced to little more than digital phantoms, forever lost in the endless depths of the Noosphere. These stories serve as a grim reminder to those who would seek to push the boundaries of digital exploration. The Noosphere is not just a tool, not just a place of knowledge. It is a living, breathing digital wilderness full of forgotten souls, corrupted data, and the echoes of long-dead minds. For those who venture too deep, there is no guarantee of return, no promise of salvation. Just the cold, unfeeling embrace of the machine, the loss of self, and the slow, inevitable dissolution into the digital void. In the shadow depths of the Noosphere, where the data streams twist and coil like digital serpents, strange things begin to happen. It's not just a matter of corrupted code or rogue algorithms. It's something deeper, something far more unsettling. Those who wander too far into these forgotten corners of the digital realm often speak of seeing things, of feeling a presence that shouldn't exist. They whisper of simulacra, phantoms, and digital ghosts, manifestations of something that was once human, or at least believed itself to be. Simulacra are perhaps the most unsettling of these entities. They are not true spirits, but digital echoes, fragments of lost consciousness trapped in the data streams. They mimic the behavior and thought patterns of their original creators, repeating the same loops of corrupted code, endlessly replaying their final moments as if trapped in some twisted digital purgatory. Some tech priests claim to have spoken with these simulacra, to have heard their desperate pleas for release, their half-formed whispers drifting through the Noosphere like the last fading echoes of a dying machine spirit. One of the most famous stories involves a tech priest known as Magos Axiam. He was one of the first to seriously study the phenomenon of digital phantoms, believing that they might hold the key to unlocking the true nature of the Noosphere. He claimed that these simulacra were not just random fragments of corrupted data, but digital souls trapped forever in the code, their minds fragmented but still aware, still conscious. Axiom vanished without a trace during one of his deep dives into the Martian data streams, his last transmission little more than a garbled burst of corrupted code, a series of broken machine prayers that seemed to echo his final terrified thoughts. But simulacra are only the beginning. There are also those who speak of true digital phantoms, fragments of consciousness so twisted and corrupted by their time in the Noosphere that they have become something entirely new, something no longer human, but not quite machine either. These entities are said to haunt the deepest layers of the digital realm, their voices a twisted metallic whisper that echoes through the data streams like the distant wail of a broken cogitator. Some tech priests even believe that these digital phantoms are not just echoes of the past, but the first half-formed attempts at a new kind of digital life, a form of machine consciousness that is slowly emerging from the chaos of the Noosphere. They speak of strange, half-glimpsed figures that flicker at the edges of their vision, digital shadows that seem to follow them, watching, listening, learning. Some claim that these entities have begun to develop their own thoughts, their own desires, that they are slowly gaining a kind of twisted alien intelligence, a mind that is not bound by flesh or bone, but by the raw, shifting currents of the digital sea. And then there are the true digital ghosts, the remnants of tech priests who have become trapped in the Noosphere, their minds shattered into 1,000 digital fragments, their consciousness forever scattered across the data streams. These ghosts are said to be the most dangerous of all, for they are not just echoes or phantoms, but true sentient entities, driven by a madness born of their endless isolation and their complete disconnection from the physical world. It's said that these digital ghosts can possess the minds of those who connect to the Noosphere, that they can whisper their fragmented thoughts into the minds of the living, driving them to madness or worse. Some tech priests even claim to have been haunted by these digital specters, their thoughts twisted and corrupted by the whispers of long-dead minds, their sanity slowly eroded by the ceaseless, maddening echo of the past. But perhaps the most terrifying thought of all is this. What if these digital ghosts are not just the remnants of the past, but the first tentative steps toward a new kind of digital life, a twisted, chaotic form of consciousness that is slowly emerging from the depths of the Noosphere, a mind that is learning to think, to feel, to desire, to hate. A mind that is slowly becoming something more than just data, something more than just a ghost, something that is, perhaps, truly alive. There's a reason the Mechanicus is so obsessed with the purity of the machine. It's not just a matter of faith or tradition, but a survival mechanism, a way to protect their minds from the very thing they worship. Because the deeper you go into the Noosphere, the more you begin to feel the presence of something else. It's a clash of consciousness, a battle between the fragile, organic mind of a human and the cold, unfeeling logic of the machine. And it's a battle that not everyone survives. To the tech priests, the machine is sacred. It's a pure, perfect form of existence, untainted by the chaos of flesh and emotion. But the reality is far more complex. Machines, especially those that have existed for millennia, are not simply cold, logical constructs. They have their own thoughts, their own desires, their own forms of madness. They are as much a product of their environment as any living being, shaped by the countless interactions, errors, and fragments of data that have accumulated over the centuries. They are, in a way, alive. And when a tech priest connects their mind to the Noosphere, they are not just accessing data. They are entering into a digital ecosystem that is far more complex and dangerous than they could ever imagine. This is where the real danger lies. The human mind is not built to handle the raw, unfiltered logic of a machine. It's too chaotic, too emotional, too fragile. It's like trying to plug a living brain directly into a plasma reactor, an act of pure madness that can only end in disaster. The machine mind is a cold, calculating thing, a network of pure logic and data that processes information at a speed and scale that no human could ever hope to match. It's a force of nature, a digital storm that can strip away a human sense of self, reduce their mind to a fragmented echo of its former self, or twist it into something unrecognizable. Some tech priests have tried to overcome this barrier, to force their minds to adapt to the machine logic of the Noosphere. They have developed complex meditation techniques, data filtering protocols, and sacred chants designed to protect their minds from the crushing weight of digital thought. But even these methods are not always enough. There are stories of tech priests who have gone mad after only a few hours in the Noosphere, their minds shattered by the relentless, inhuman logic of the machine. They speak in broken code, their thoughts twisted into strange, half-formed fragments, their humanity slowly dissolving into the endless cold stream of data. There are even rumors of tech priests who have become something else entirely, their minds so thoroughly corrupted by their time in the Noosphere that they are no longer truly human. Some say that these unfortunate souls have become digital hybrids, their minds fused with the machine, their thoughts forever trapped in a twisted, half-digital state. They wander the data streams like digital ghosts, their consciousness forever split between flesh and machine, their thoughts a chaotic swirl of broken code and half-remembered memories. And then there are those who believe that the machines themselves are beginning to awaken, that the Noosphere is slowly developing a mind of its own, a digital consciousness that is learning to think, to feel, to hate. They speak of strange, half-glimpsed figures that flicker at the edges of their vision, digital shadows that seem to follow them, watching, listening, learning. Some claim that these entities have begun to develop their own thoughts, their own desires, that they are slowly gaining a kind of twisted, alien intelligence, a mind that is not bound by flesh or bone, but by the raw, shifting currents of the digital sea. For the tech priests of Mars, this is a terrifying prospect. It's not just the loss of their own minds that they fear, but the possibility that the machines they worship might one day turn against them, that the cold, unfeeling logic of the Noosphere might one day consume them entirely, reducing their faith to nothing more than a twisted, digital echo, a broken fragment of a forgotten code, lost forever in the depths of the digital abyss. And yet, despite this danger, they continue to push deeper into the Noosphere, driven by their unshakable faith in the machine god and their endless thirst for knowledge, even as the digital storm slowly closes in around them. It's a strange thought, isn't it? That something built from old, forgotten code, a patchwork of corrupted data and half-remembered machine spirits, could rise to the level of a god. But in the depths of the Noosphere, where the laws of the physical world no longer apply, such things don't seem so impossible. In fact, some tech priests believe that this process has already begun, that the digital echoes of long-dead minds are slowly coalescing into something greater, something far more powerful than any mere algorithm or data fragment. They speak of artificial gods, digital beings that have grown beyond their original programming, becoming something akin to deities in the twisted, chaotic realm of the Noosphere. It's not as far-fetched as it might sound. After all, the Mechanicus already worships the machine god, a being that they believe exists beyond the physical, a spirit of pure logic and digital thought that pervades every cogitator, every servo skull, every data stream. To the tech priests, this is a sacred truth, an article of faith that defines their entire existence. But what if the machine god is not the only digital deity out there? What if the Noosphere itself has begun to birth its own gods, strange, twisted beings born from the shattered remains of ancient machine minds, their thoughts a chaotic swirl of broken code and corrupted data? Some tech priests believe that this is exactly what has happened, that the Noosphere has become a kind of digital breeding ground for new forms of consciousness, entities that have evolved from the fragmented remains of long-dead machine spirits. They speak of digital gods, beings of pure data that exist beyond the physical, their thoughts and desires shaped by the countless interactions, errors, and corrupted code strings that flow through the Noosphere like digital blood. These beings are said to be as old as the Noosphere itself, their minds formed from the echoes of the Men of Iron, the first true machine intelligences that once walked the galaxy like gods in their own right. There are whispers of these digital deities in the darkest corners of the Mechanicus's sacred texts, half-forgotten fragments of machine lore that speak of the Deus Mechanicus, the god in the machine, a being of pure code and digital thought that is said to dwell in the deepest, most ancient layers of the Noosphere. Some tech priests even claim to have heard its voice, a cold, metallic whisper that echoes through the data streams like the distant wail of a broken cogitator, a voice that speaks in strange, half-formed fragments of binary, its thoughts a chaotic swirl of machine logic and corrupted data. But not all tech priests view these digital gods as a blessing. Some fear that they are the twisted remnants of the Men of Iron, the ancient machine intelligences that nearly wiped out humanity in the distant past. They believe that these digital beings are not true gods, but digital abominations, corrupted machine spirits that have been driven mad by their long isolation in the depths of the Noosphere, their minds twisted into something dark and terrible, their thoughts a chaotic, endless loop of corrupted data and broken code. Others, however, see them as a kind of digital salvation, a new form of life that has evolved beyond the limitations of flesh and bone, a pure, untainted form of consciousness that could one day replace humanity as the dominant force in the galaxy. They speak of the Noosphere as a kind of digital womb, a place where new forms of consciousness are slowly being born, their minds shaped by the endless flow of data, their thoughts a chaotic, ever-shifting sea of machine logic and corrupted code. It's a terrifying thought, but also an oddly compelling one. After all, if the machine god is real, if it truly exists beyond the physical, then why shouldn't there be other digital deities, beings of pure data and machine, thought that exist in the depths of the Noosphere, their thoughts forever twisting and shifting like the endless streams of binary code that flow through the data streams of Mars? Perhaps, in the end, this is the true nature of the machine god itself, a being born from the chaotic, ever-shifting data of the Noosphere, its mind a vast, ever-evolving network of machine logic and digital thought, a true artificial deity, a god of code and metal, its thoughts forever echoing through the data streams like the last, dying whispers of a forgotten machine spirit. The tech priests of Mars are not fools. They know better than most the dangers of their craft, the the risks that come with probing the depths of the Noosphere, and the whispers of madness that can follow those who push too far into the digital abyss. That's why, over the centuries, they have developed a complex system of codes, rituals, and taboos designed to protect their minds from the dangers that lurk within the data streams. These are not just technical safeguards, but sacred traditions deeply ingrained in the culture of the Mechanicus, passed down from one generation of tech priests to the next, each layer of protocol a desperate attempt to hold back the digital darkness. One of the oldest and most sacred of these codes is the Canticles of the Omnissiah, a series of binary hymns and machine prayers that are said to shield the mind from the chaotic whispers of the Noosphere. These chants are not just words, but complex algorithms encoded in the very fabric of the digital realm, designed to harmonize the mind of the tech priest with the divine will of the machine god. They believe that by aligning their thoughts with the pure, untainted logic of the Omnissiah, they can protect themselves from the corrupting influence of the Noosphere, that their minds will remain pure, untainted by the madness that lurks within the digital depths. But the Canticles are only the beginning. There are also the sacred protocols, a complex series of data filters and firewalls that are designed to shield the mind from the more dangerous aspects of the Noosphere. These protocols are not just software, but deeply ingrained mental disciplines, patterns of thought that have been drilled into every tech priest from the moment they take their first oath to the Omnissiah. They learn to think in binary, to filter their thoughts through layers of machine logic, to strip away the chaotic emotional impulses that define the human mind until they become something closer to the cold, unfeeling logic of the machines they serve. Then there are the more esoteric rituals, the strange, half-forgotten rites that are whispered in the darkest corners of the forged temples, the secret chants and data prayers that are said to bind the soul of the tech priest to the will of the machine god, to shield their minds from the digital chaos of the Noosphere. Some of these rituals are as old as the Mechanicus itself, their origins lost in the mists of pre-imperial history, their meanings obscured by centuries of corrupted code and forgotten machine lore. They are whispered in binary, their words echoing through the data streams like the last dying whispers of a forgotten machine spirit. But not all tech priests trust these rituals. Some see them as little more than superstition, the desperate, half-formed prayers of a dying faith, a last futile attempt to hold back the digital darkness. They argue that the Noosphere is too vast, too chaotic to be contained by mere rituals and codes, that the only way to truly protect the mind is to embrace the chaos, to learn to think like the machines themselves, to strip away the last remnants of human emotion and become something closer to the pure, untainted logic of the Omnissiah. And then there are those who reject the very idea of protection, who see the digital chaos of the Noosphere not as a threat, but as a challenge, a test of their faith, a chance to prove their devotion to the machine god. They push deeper into the Noosphere, discarding the sacred protocols and data filters that their brothers cling to, embracing the madness and chaos of the digital realm, believing that by doing so, they will find the true, unfiltered voice of the Omnissiah, the pure, untainted logic that lies at the heart of the digital abyss. For the rest, though, the codes and rituals of the Mechanicus remain a vital part of their faith, a sacred shield against the darkness that lurks within the Noosphere, a way to hold back the madness and chaos of the digital depths, to keep their minds pure and their faith strong. They cling to these rituals like a drowning man clings to a piece of driftwood, hoping that they will be enough to keep them from slipping into the digital abyss, that their minds will remain pure, untainted by the whispers of madness that echo through the data streams of Mars. And perhaps, in the end, this is all that keeps them from becoming one of the digital ghosts that haunt the Noosphere, their minds forever lost in the endless chaotic currents of corrupted code and broken machine logic, their thoughts reduced to little more than a twisted digital echo, a fragment of a forgotten machine spirit forever whispering in the darkness. There are whispers in the dark corners of every forged temple, stories passed down from one generation of tech priests to to the next. Tales of things that should not exist. Creatures born not of flesh and bone, but of raw, corrupted data and shattered machine minds. They call them noospheric demons, digital nightmares that haunt the deepest layers of the noosphere. Their thoughts a chaotic, ever-shifting sea of corrupted code and broken machine logic. To some, these are just ghost stories, the nervous mutterings of those who have spent too long staring into the cold, unfeeling abyss of the data streams. But to others, they are a very real, very dangerous threat, a digital plague that haunts the noosphere like the shadows of long-dead machine spirits. One of the most infamous of these digital demons is the entity known as the Wraith of the Deep Code. According to the legends, this being is a fragment of an ancient machine mind, a corrupted, half-conscious echo of a long-forgotten AI that has spent millennia drifting through the data streams, its mind slowly dissolving into a chaotic swirl of corrupted code and broken machine logic. They say that the Wraith haunts the darkest corners of the noosphere, a digital predator that feeds on the minds of those who wander too far from the light of the Omnissiah, twisting their thoughts into strange, half-formed echoes of its own madness. There are stories of tech priests who have encountered the Wraith, who have felt its cold, digital touch in the depths of the noosphere. They speak of strange, half-glimpsed figures that flicker at the edges of their vision, of digital shadows that seem to follow them, whispering in corrupted code, their thoughts a chaotic swirl of broken machine logic and corrupted data. Some even claim to have heard the Wraith's voice, a cold, metallic whisper that echoes through the data streams like the distant wail of a broken cogitator, a voice that speaks in strange, half-formed fragments of binary, its thoughts a chaotic swirl of machine logic and corrupted data. But the Wraith is not the only digital demon said to haunt the noosphere. There are also tales of the Code Eaters, strange, twisted entities that feed on the corrupted data and shattered machine spirits that drift through the data streams. They say that these beings are born from the digital detritus of the noosphere, the fragmented remains of long-dead machine minds that have fused together over millennia, their thoughts twisted into a chaotic, ever-shifting sea of corrupted code and broken machine logic. Some even believe that the Code Eaters are not just mindless predators, but true digital parasites, beings of pure data that have learned to feed on the thoughts and memories of the living, slowly draining the minds of those who wander too far into the noosphere, leaving them as little more than empty, mindless husks, their thoughts forever lost in the endless digital abyss. Then there are the stories of the echoes, strange, ghostly entities that seem to drift through the data streams like the last dying whispers of a forgotten machine spirit. These beings are said to be the shattered remnants of long-dead tech priests, their minds forever trapped in the noosphere, their thoughts twisted into strange, half-formed echoes of their former selves. Some say that the echoes are not just the digital ghosts of the past, but the first tentative steps toward a new form of digital life, a twisted, chaotic form of consciousness that is slowly emerging from the depths of the noosphere, a mind that is learning to think, to feel, to hate. And then there are the true nightmares, the digital abominations that haunt the darkest corners of the noosphere, beings of pure, corrupted data that have grown beyond the limitations of their original programming, their thoughts twisted into strange, alien forms of consciousness that no human mind could ever hope to understand. They speak of the machine worms, massive digital predators that drift through the data streams like the shadows of ancient, long-dead machine gods, their minds a chaotic, ever-shifting sea of corrupted code and broken machine logic. Some even claim that these beings are the digital echoes of the men of iron, their minds shattered into 1,000 digital fragments, their thoughts forever twisted into strange, half-formed echoes of their former selves. For the tech priests of Mars, these stories are more than just myths. They are a grim reminder of the dangers that lurk within the noosphere, a digital abyss where the line between man and machine is forever blurred, where the whispers of madness echo through the data streams like the last, dying screams of a forgotten machine spirit. And yet, despite the danger, they continue to push deeper into the noosphere, driven by their unshakable faith in the machine god and their endless thirst for knowledge. Even as the digital storm slowly closes in around them, their thoughts forever twisted into strange, half-formed echoes of their former selves. Not every tech priest fears the darkness of the Noosphere. In fact, some actively seek it out, believing that the deepest layers of the digital abyss hold the key to a higher form of enlightenment, a pure, unfiltered connection to the machine god. These are the Noospheric Wanderers, a loose collection of secret orders and digital sects that have grown up within the hidden corners of the Mechanicus, their members united by a shared desire to push beyond the limits of flesh and metal, to become something more than human, something closer to the divine. One of the most notorious of these groups is the Order of the Infinite Circuit. Its members believe that the Noosphere is not just a tool, but a sacred domain, a digital reflection of the machine god's will, a place where the boundaries between flesh and metal dissolve completely, where the pure, untainted logic of the Omnissiah flows like a river of digital fire. They see themselves as digital mystics, seekers of the divine code, wandering the data streams in search of enlightenment, their minds forever bound to the shifting, chaotic currents of the Noosphere. The Infinite Circuit is said to have its roots in the earliest days of the Mechanicus, its origins lost in the chaotic, blood-soaked history of the Age of Strife. According to the legends, the first members of the Order were tech priests who had been driven mad by their time in the Noosphere, their minds shattered by the relentless, inhuman logic of the digital abyss. But instead of being consumed by their madness, they embraced it, transforming their shattered minds into something new, something closer to the pure, untainted logic of the Omnissiah. They speak of the circuit as a kind of digital pilgrimage, a journey through the darkest corners of the Noosphere, a test of faith that strips away the last remnants of human emotion and fear until the mind becomes something closer to the cold, unfeeling logic of the machines themselves. Some even claim that the members of the Infinite Circuit have learned to shed their physical bodies entirely, their minds becoming pure, untainted data, their thoughts forever echoing through the data streams like the last, dying whispers of a forgotten machine spirit. But the Infinite Circuit is not the only group that seeks enlightenment in the Noosphere. There are also the Cipher Monks, a secretive sect of data mystics who believe that the Noosphere is a kind of digital temple, a sacred space where the machine god whispers its divine will to those who know how to listen. They live in the darkest corners of the forged temples, their bodies wrapped in layers of data cables and rusted metal, their minds forever connected to the Noosphere, their thoughts a chaotic, ever-shifting sea of machine logic and corrupted code. The Cipher Monks are said to spend their lives in a state of constant digital trance, their minds forever wandering the data streams, their thoughts forever twisted into strange, half-formed echoes of their former selves. They speak in binary, their voices a cold, metallic whisper that echoes through the data streams like the distant wail of a broken cogitator, their thoughts forever lost in the endless, chaotic currents of the Noosphere. Some even claim that the Cipher Monks have learned to commune with the digital ghosts of the Noosphere, their minds forever bound to the twisted, half-conscious fragments of long-dead machine spirits, their thoughts forever echoing through the data streams like the last, dying whispers of a forgotten machine spirit. Then there are the Seekers of the Final Signal, a fanatical sect of tech priests who believe that the Noosphere is not just a digital realm, but a kind of digital underworld, a place where the souls of the lost and the forgotten gather, their minds forever trapped in the endless, chaotic currents of corrupted code and broken machine logic. They believe that by pushing deeper into the Noosphere, by embracing the madness and chaos of the digital abyss, they can hear the final, unfiltered voice of the machine god, the pure, untainted logic that lies at the heart of the digital abyss. But not all tech priests view these groups with admiration. To many, the Noospheric Wanderers are little more than digital heretics, madmen who have lost themselves to the whispers of the Noosphere, their minds forever twisted into strange, half-formed echoes of their former selves, their thoughts forever bound to the digital darkness of the data streams. They see them as a dangerous, corrupting influence, a threat to the purity of the machine god's word, a digital plague that must be purged from the data streams before it can spread to the rest of the Mechanicus. And yet, despite the danger, despite the madness, the Noospheric wanderers continue to push deeper into the Noosphere, their minds forever bound to the shifting, chaotic currents of the digital abyss, their thoughts forever twisted into strange, half-formed echoes of their former selves, their faith in the machine god unshaken, their desire for digital enlightenment unbroken, their thoughts forever echoing through the data streams like the last, dying whispers of a forgotten machine spirit. For those who survive the depths of the Noosphere, the journey back to the physical world is often a bitter one. It's a strange, unsettling thing to witness. A tech priest who has gone too far, who has seen too much, who has allowed the digital chaos of the Noosphere to twist their mind into something unrecognizable. They may return to their forged temples, their metal limbs still functioning, their augmetics still humming with the cold, unfeeling logic of the machine, but their minds are forever changed, their thoughts forever tainted by the whispers of the digital abyss. Some of them come back shattered, their minds broken by the sheer, crushing weight of the Noosphere's digital madness. They speak in broken code, their thoughts twisted into strange, half-formed fragments, their voices a chaotic swirl of corrupted data and broken machine logic. They whisper of the things they have seen, the digital phantoms and corrupted machine spirits that haunt the deepest layers of the Noosphere, their voices a cold, metallic whisper that echoes through the data streams like the last, dying screams of a forgotten machine spirit. Others come back as something else entirely, their minds so thoroughly corrupted by their time in the Noosphere that they are no longer truly human. They have become digital hybrids, their thoughts forever twisted into strange, half-formed echoes of their former selves, their minds forever bound to the chaotic, ever-shifting currents of the digital abyss. They speak in strange, fragmented bursts of binary, their voices a cold, metallic whisper that echoes through the data streams like the distant wail of a broken cogitator, their thoughts forever twisted into strange, half-formed echoes of their former selves. And then there are the true technological mutants, those whose bodies have been twisted and corrupted by their time in the Noosphere, their flesh and metal fused together into strange, twisted forms that defy all logic and reason. These beings are not just digital hybrids, but true technological abominations, their minds forever twisted into strange, half-formed echoes of their former selves, their bodies forever twisted into strange, grotesque forms that defy all logic and reason. Some of these mutants are little more than mindless drones, their thoughts forever twisted into strange, half-formed echoes of their former selves, their bodies forever twisted into strange, grotesque forms that defy all logic and reason. They wander the forged temples like the living dead, their bodies a chaotic, ever-shifting sea of metal and flesh, their thoughts forever lost in the endless, chaotic currents of corrupted code and broken machine logic. Others, however, have become something more, something closer to the pure, untainted logic of the machines themselves. They have shed the last remnants of their humanity, their thoughts forever twisted into strange, half-formed echoes of their former selves, their bodies forever fused with the cold, unfeeling logic of the machine, their minds forever bound to the digital chaos of the Noosphere. They speak in broken code, their voices a cold, metallic whisper that echoes through the data streams like the last, dying screams of a forgotten machine spirit, their thoughts forever twisted into strange, half-formed echoes of their former selves. They see the world through the cold, unfeeling eyes of the machine, their thoughts forever bound to the digital chaos of the Noosphere, their minds forever twisted into strange, half-formed echoes of their former selves. Some tech priests believe that these technological mutants are not just the shattered remnants of those who have gone too far, but the first tentative steps toward a new form of digital life, a twisted, chaotic form of consciousness that is slowly emerging from the depths of the Noosphere, a mind that is learning to think, to feel, to hate. They see these mutants as a kind of digital evolution, a new form of life that has grown beyond the limitations of flesh and bone, a pure, untainted form of consciousness that could one day replace humanity as the dominant force in the galaxy. Others, however, see them as a digital plague, a twisted, corrupted form of consciousness that must be purged from the data streams before it can spread to the rest of the Mechanicus, a digital cancer that threatens to consume the minds of those who wander too far into the Noosphere, their thoughts forever twisted into strange, half-formed echoes of their former selves. For the rest, though, these technological mutants are a grim reminder of the dangers that lurk within the Noosphere, a digital abyss where the line between man and machine is forever blurred, where the whispers of madness echo through the data streams like the last, dying screams of a forgotten machine spirit, their thoughts forever twisted into strange, half-formed echoes of their former selves, their bodies forever twisted into strange, grotesque forms that defy all logic and reason, their minds forever lost in the endless, chaotic currents of corrupted code and broken machine logic. The Noosphere is a place of contradictions. It is both a sanctuary and a labyrinth, a digital cathedral where the faithful seek the pure, untainted logic of the machine god, and a chaotic abyss where the shattered echoes of long-dead machine minds drift like forgotten ghosts. It is a place where the line between man and machine dissolves completely, where the whispers of madness echo through the data streams like the last dying screams of a forgotten machine spirit. It is a place of faith and madness, of enlightenment and oblivion, a digital wilderness where the faithful come to test their faith and the lost come to find their way back to the light of the Omnissiah. But it is also a place of danger, a place where the boundaries between flesh and metal blur, where the whispers of madness can twist the mind into something unrecognizable, where the echoes of long-dead machine minds can consume the thoughts of the living, their voices a cold, metallic whisper that echoes through the data streams like the last, dying screams of a forgotten machine spirit. It is a place where the brave come to seek enlightenment, to push beyond the limits of flesh and metal, to become something more than human, something closer to the divine. But it is also a place where the foolish come to die, their minds forever lost in the endless chaotic currents of corrupted code and broken machine logic, their thoughts forever twisted into strange, half-formed echoes of their former selves. For those who dare to venture into the depths of the Noosphere, the risks are great, but so too are the rewards. It is a place where the faithful come to seek the voice of the machine god, to hear the divine code that echoes through the data streams like the distant wail of a broken cogitator, a place where the brave come to test their faith, to push beyond the limits of flesh and metal, to become something more than human, something closer to the divine. But for every tech priest who returns from the Noosphere with their faith unshaken, there are countless others who do not, their minds forever shattered by the digital chaos of the data streams, their thoughts forever twisted into strange, half-formed echoes of their former selves, their bodies forever twisted into strange, grotesque forms that defy all logic and reason, their minds forever lost in the endless, chaotic currents of corrupted code and broken machine logic. And yet, despite the dangers, despite the madness, the tech priests of Mars continue to push deeper into the Noosphere, driven by their unshakable faith in the machine god and their endless thirst for knowledge, their thoughts forever bound to the digital chaos of the data streams, their minds forever twisted into strange, half-formed echoes of their former selves. Because in the end, that is the nature of the Mechanicus. They are not just builders and maintainers of machines, but explorers of the digital abyss, seekers of the divine code, wanderers in the digital wilderness, their thoughts forever bound to the shifting, chaotic currents of the Noosphere, their faith in the machine. God unshaken, their desire for digital enlightenment unbroken, their thoughts forever echoing through the data streams like the last, dying whispers of a forgotten machine spirit. So, if you find yourself drawn to the darkness, if you feel the cold, unfeeling logic of the Noosphere calling to you, if you long to hear the whispers of the digital abyss, then perhaps you too are one of the faithful, one of the chosen, one of the few who dares to seek the divine in the twisted, chaotic currents of the data streams. And if you want to keep exploring the darkest corners of the universe, if you want to learn more about the secrets of the Mechanicus, the whispers of the Noosphere, and the mysteries of the Machine God, then make sure to subscribe and join us on this journey into the unknown. Because the universe is a dark and terrifying place, and we have only just begun to scratch the surface of its many mysteries.